Myself, Kaushal Barot, Assistant Professor in Mechatronics Engineering Department, and I welcome all on today's webinar on use of PLC HMI in industrial automation. And today's our expert of the webinar is Mr. Arpit Panchal. He is a founder of Akar Solution, and he has 10 years, 10 years plus experience in industrial automation and IoT domain as a working experience, and he has carried forward many projects in textile, material, packing, glass, oil and gas, and pharma. Wasting much time, I invite Mr. Arpit Panchal and request him to start the session on in industrial automation. Arpit sir.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Parul University for providing me a platform where I can discuss to the aspiring engineers and to share my knowledge. Thank you, first of all. Let's begin our today's session. In today's session, we will see what is industrial automation, why it is required, and how you can control any plant or any machine by interfacing its inputs and outputs, and how you can program it so that the system can be operated trouble freely, can be operated 24x7 and without any problem. So before starting the presentation, I always start my presentation with the definition of engineer. That is, I found it is from the Wikipedia. So as a definition, engineers as a practitioners of engineering are professionals who invent, design, analyze, build, test machines, systems, structures, and material to fulfill objectives and requirements, while considering the limitation imposed by practicality, regulation, safety, and cost. So the keywords are engineers are the practitioners. So if you study everything but you do not put it into the practice, then it is not engineering. So engineers are here to solve the industrial problems, to solve the societal problems, while considering the practical limitations of the science, while considering the practical regulations, safety, cost, and of course the time frame. So industrial automation. Let's see why industrial automation is needed. I will give you a few cases. Let's say you all are visiting petrol stations, right? So before, in earlier cases, there were manual. If you want to, let's say, fill 1 liter of petrol, they will check and they cut off the filling station. Let's say the error of filling is 0.05 liter every vehicle. So what does that mean? And around 100 vehicles are visiting that station. So what does that mean? So it is the loss of 5 liters every day, which is considering the today's cost is around 400 rupees loss per day. So annually it comes around 1,46,000 a year. So error of 50 ml in every filling can cost you around 1.5 lakhs every year. So let's take another example. There is a tank that you want to heat up. In first case, the system is completely manual, where you are heating up the tank. You do not know what is the actual temperature, and you are just turning on the heating and turning off by just feeling whether the temperature has achieved or not. So let us consider the energy consumption in this case is around 100%. In improving the process, we are just adding one temperature indicator. It will tell the operator that the current temperature is this, and the system is still in manual mode. So by just adding the measurement device in the system, you can reduce your energy consumption by 50%. Let's further improve the process. You are adding a on-off valve in the system. You are adding the on-off valve into the system, and system is now auto. Now it will automatically check the temperature has achieved, and it will turn and off the valve accordingly. So by adding the on-off valve, you can further improve your energy consumption. And in further improving that, we are adding a control valve. In first case, it is digital valve that is just on and off based on the temperature. And in this is PID controlled valve. So it will maintain the temperature. And by adding this complete automation system, you can further reduce your energy consumption by 20%. In another case, let's say you are running an induction motor. So it is automatic mode, but it is operated by a standard dual starter or star delta starter. By adding a VFD, you can save your annual consumption by uh, around 78,000 US dollars. This is based on the VFD.org data. So if you are investing the 5,000 USD, you can recover that cost in just 7.5 months. So in another case, let's say there is a completely automatic machine which is producing pouch, and the speed of the machine is 120 pouch per minute. So it takes around half a second to produce one pouch. Now let's say you are reducing the cycle time by 20 milliseconds. What does that means? You are, instead of 500 milliseconds, now you are producing the pouch at every 480 milliseconds. So you are increasing the speed by 125 pouch per minute. You are producing 5 extra pouch per minute. That means you are producing 300 extra pouch per minute. That means you are producing 7,200 pouch every day, and annually it comes up to your additional production of 26 lakhs 28,000 pouch. If the company is getting profit of 10 paisa every pouch, so the additional income that is available at the end of the year is around 13 lakhs 14,000. So by just reducing the cycle time by 20 milliseconds, the company can get the benefit of the 13 lakhs annually. So why we are discussing about this 50 milliliter or 20 milliseconds? Because India is producing tons of the products every minute. It is producing around 1 lakh oil every minute. It is producing around 10 vehicles every minute. 300 liters of milk is being produced in dairy industries. Thousands of meters are being produced in the textile industries. 500 products every minute. So you can just imagine the volume of the industrial usage and industrial consumption. They are using electricity, water, steam, natural gases. So you can consider the volume. By saving a little, how much volume you can overall save, because the resources are limited in the industries, the cost is limited, the and by producing they are also emitting the waste into the nature, and also there are industrial accidents that happen into the industries. So, and also the market scenario before is, you, let's say you are producing a product at some cost, you are adding your profit, and you decide the market price. So the equation was your production cost plus profit is equal to your market price. But now the scenario has changed in last decade. The production cost, you are producing at some particular price, but the price is defined by the market now. So the market price is fixed. So now if you want to get some profit, you have to reduce your production cost. So now the equation is market price minus production cost, that comes to your profit. So basically the need of industrial automation to get the quality products and to improve the productivity, to make the system very easy and efficient, to provide safe and healthy working environment and a global environment, to optimize the system so that it consumes very optimized energy, optimized resources, and to provide the flexibility into the system. So what is industrial automation? Industrial automation, is it PLC? Some people think that industrial automation is PLC and SCADA, but it is not the case. It is not the sensor. It is not the actuators, not control valve, not motors, not electrical panel. But industrial automation is integration of everything. None of the product can define industrial automation independently. You have to use one of these or everything in combination to integrate the system to provide any industrial solution. And the main purpose of industrial automation is to serve any industry, to get the answer of any industrial problem. So integration of everything is industrial automation. And the objective of the industrial automation is to achieve your plant and machine safety under control with the best quality of the products, with the increasing flexibility, with better production, and to provide the safe and healthy working environment. So major industrial players in automations are Siemens, Rockwell, ABB, Yokogawa, Schneider. There are lots of industrial players. When you join the industry, you will see this mix of industrial sensors, this mix of PLCs, SCADA, motors. These are a few of the industries. Actually, this slide is very small to recover all the industries around us. Now, that was the basic definition of industry and industrial automation. Now let us consider, I would like to share one project case where we provide a solution into the dairy industry. In dairy industry, it is buttermilk processing plant. So this is the layout of the plant. I hope everybody can see the screen. So this is the basic diagram of the entire plant where a milk is getting received, buttermilk is getting received into the one tank, and finally it is being produced and ready, and it is getting ready for the dispatch. So the diagram goes like this. This is PNID diagram, process and instrumentation diagram, where the raw material is come and fed to this tank that is called deaerator tank. From deaerator tank, it is going to the RMST station, RMS raw milk storage tank. From storage tank, you can process the tank based on further your requirement. So basically, in the dairy industries, there are tank to tank transfers. There are pasteurization sections where milk and everything is being pasteurized. The product, the Amul milk that you are using, you can read on the pouch that it is pasteurized milk. So what is pasteurization process is the milk is being heated up to 80 degrees centigrade, and then immediately it is chilled to 4 degrees centigrade. So there are uh, regener- uh, heaters and chilling station into the system. By this process, you are removing the bacteria that is available in the raw milk, and it is ready and safe to serve to the market. So this is complete PNID diagram where there are sensors, actuators, motors, pump, everything. And the basic process is tank to tank transfer. This is pasteurization section. After pasteurization, the milk can be stored into the BMST station or HMST station. This is vertical tank, this is horizontal tank. Based on their requirement, they store the station. And after storing, they are packaging the processed milk, and it is ready for the dispatch into the market. So this is basic PNID diagram of dairy industry. In this case, we are just simple. We will see just a simple case of tank to tank transfer process. How a milk or how any material is being transferred from one tank to another tank. So let us say there are two tanks. One is source tank and another is destination tank. You want to transfer the milk. You want to transfer the material from here to here. So how many components are used? First of all, this is complete. This is a problem statement that you want to transfer raw milk from one tank to another tank. So how it is done automatically? So how many components are being used in this process? First of all, it is tanks. There are valves and there are pumps. In this case, there are tanks. Tank has level sensors, low level sensor, high level sensor. It has level transmitter that will give you the exact level available into the tank. It is temperature indicators. It is flow meter. There's flow switch. valve and pump. Valves has open feedback, closed feedback, and on of the valve there is a command. So the basic process is you are uh, transferring the product from this tank to this tank. So first of all, let us understand the basic principle. If you want to transfer the material from this tank to this tank, there is a one valve. This will stop the product from going further to the next line. This will stop the product coming into the tank from next line. Flow switch is used to measure is there any flow into the pipeline or not. Flow meter is used at what flow rate the material is being transferred. There is the level, there is temperature. So to transfer the material from this to this, you first have to check whether sufficient material is available. Like if the tank is empty, you cannot transfer the material from this tank to this tank. If the destination tank is full, you cannot fill it further because the tank is already full. You cannot run the pump without any fluid. You cannot keep running the pump if there is no flow or if there is no flow switch. So these are the basic components. Valve has one output to operate the valve, and it is also getting the feedback, open feedback, to check whether the valve is open or closed. The let's say pump is running with a simple DOL starter. So it has trip signal, it has run feedback. Trip signal is used whether the pump is ready to start or not, and the run feedback is used to check whether the pump is running or not. And to start and stop the pump, we have one operation. We have one output for that. So considering the PLC input output signal, we have installed the component. Now we are talking about the what data PLC will read to operate this particular process. So let's say there is a button for the cycle start. There is a button for cycle stop. There is a fault reset button. If is there any fault, the you can reset the fault and uh, you can acknowledge the error. The level sensors, tank 1, source tank, destination tank, level sensors, high level and low level. There is a flow switch to measure the is there any flow or not. In uh, in critical component, there are multiple checklists that are available. Like we have high level and low level, as well as we have level transmitter. Why we are using this? So in case any one of fail, let's say high level is not working, but we can still measure the level of the tank by using this. If the flow meter is not working, still we can check whether the material is being transferred or not via the flow switch. So the flow switch, then next is valve open feedback. PLC will read whether the valve's actual position is in open state or in closed state, whether the pump is tripped, whether we are getting the run feedback after giving the pump on command. So these are the basic PLC inputs and outputs into the system. Let's consider how these signals are working into the PLC. Uh, let's say you have one normal switch that you will connect to the PLC signal. Basically, in the electrical signal, the electricity is flowing. Let's say if you are connecting 24-volt DC, if you press this switch to on position, it will give you 24-volt to the PLC input terminal. But what happens after receiving the PLC, after receiving the 24-volt at the PLC? So the 24-volt signal received at the input, it being captured at one register, that is into the memory of the PLC, and it will define by the state of 1 or 0. Digital signals or discrete signals means they have only two states. It can either be on or it can be off. And in case of output, the process is reverse. Means if you put logic level 1 here, it will provide 24-volt from this terminal, and you can operate any indication lamp or any valve or any contactor. Whatever is your output, you can start and stop with the help of PLC. So in the electrical system, the current is flowing. In the pneumatic system, the air media is flowing. But in the PLC, that phenomena is called the RLO logic. In PLC, logic is flowing. So similar with similarity to electrical signal, let's say this switch is on, then you can get one signal at here, and it is defined by particular address. And by writing this logic, you can write whatever logic based on your requirement, and you can operate this input and output. So by connecting the signal to the PLC, it is converted into the PLC memory. You write the logic based on your memory, and you generate the output, and that output is returned to the output register, and that will operate the output actuator. So this is how basically a digital signal works. If the switch is on, it will create one state. You can the signal is 1 now, so the logic will flow. Here electricity is flowing, here logic will flowing. So this is a simple logic. If this is on, this will be on. This is simple logic. These are the case of digital input and output signal. Now let's see how analog input and output signals are used. So in industrial application, the standard analog input measurement is being carried out with the help of 4 to 20 milliampere, or it can be 0 to 10 volt. If it is RTD, it is purely a register value. If it is thermocouple, or it is a load cell, it can be in terms of millivolt. But here is an example how a 4 to 20 milliampere signal is being read into the PLC. Let's say 24 volt DC is supplied, and based on the actual process parameter, the 4 to 20 milliampere current will flow into this circuit. So 4 to 20 milliampere is connected. These cables are connected to the PLC, and with the help of the analog to digital converter, you are getting this current. You are getting this current value in terms of numbers. Like in case of Siemens PLC, it is the numbers are 0 to 27648. It means at the 4 milliampere, the value is 0. At 20 milliampere, the value is 27648, and it is defined at some particular address that you can define into the PLC. So the 4 to 20 milliampere signal you are measuring with the multimeter here, it can be measured into the PLC with this register. It's a input word 256. I stands for input. And these numbers can be scaled based on your particular transmitter. Let's say this is a flow transmitter, which gives you range of 0 to 100 meter cube per hour. That means at 0 meter cube per hour, the transmitter will give you output 4 milliampere, and at 100 meter cube per hour, the signal will be 20 milliampere. So how it will be read into the PLC? At the 0 meter cube per hour, the value is 0. At 100 meter cube per hour, the value is 27648, and that can be scaled by using standard linear scaling function. Y is equal to mx plus c. So for now particular milliampere, you can have particular flow rate. Let's say if you are changing this with the temperature transmitter, then at 4 milliampere it is 0 degree centigrade. At 20 milliampere it is 150 degree centigrade. So it can be scaled with a 0 degree centigrade to 150 degree centigrade. So this is how basically PLC reads and writes the signal. And majority there are digital kind of signals and analog kind of signals into the PLC. So we will move to the Siemens software after receiving the signals, how you can write the logic and how it looks like into the logic. So basically this is a software. It is Siemens TIA portal. So all those signals that we are receiving, it will be in terms of addresses like cycle start. Cycle start is a push button that you connect to the PLC signal, and its address is I0.0. What does that mean? If you press the start push button, it will give you signal here. Cycle stop, tank high level, tank low level. So all the signals are being read and all the inputs and outputs are now defined. The main step is input output definition. Now you have all the signals that are available into the field into your PLC system. So let us consider how, first of all, analog signals, as we said into the PPT, they are numbers 0 to 27648. You can define this is a level sensor which is capacity of 0 to 100 liters. Into the tank that we are uh, the tank that we show into the system. This tank is the level transmitter is calibrated as 0 to 100, 0 to 1000 liter. It is 1 kiloliter of transmitter that we are using. What does that mean? At the when the level is 0, you will receive 4 milliampere. It means you are receiving 0 number into your input register. And at 1000 level, you will receive 20 milliampere or 1000 liter. So let's say you are receiving 4 milliampere. 4 milliampere will be converted into numbers that will 0. So it will give you 0 liter as your level transmitter. Now if you are receiving 20 milliampere, so what you will get against 20 milliampere, you are receiving number 27648. So according to your 4 to 20 milliampere variation, it will give you the level. Okay. So based on any particular number, let's say you are receiving around 10 milliampere. So according to the 10 milliampere, it will give you the level that is available at the tank. It is around 434 liters. So this is how a signal should be calibrated. Why we need to calibrate these signals are to match the physical parameter to the actual PLC parameter. You must understand, you must know what is the actual level. Counts are just numbers, so they have to be calibrated. All kind of transmitters are calibrated like this. Like means temperature transmitter has some range, flow meter has some range. All kind of temperatures level transmitters can be calibrated using this standard function. Y is equal to mx plus c. So this is basically our process. Based on the level transmitter, it will show you some level, uh, level of the source tank, level of the destination tank. You want to transfer the material from this tank to this tank. For the demonstration purpose, I have simulated the levels and everything. So based on the level, it will show you some indication that the tank is full. It will show you the 100% capacity. If the level is half, it will show you the transmit signals here. Let's make this tank empty and make this tank full. So with the help of start push button and stop push button, when you are starting the signal, it will first turn on the valve, then it will open the destination valve, and then it will start the pump. So now the material is being transferred from this tank to this tank. You must have noticed the first this valve was got opened, then this valve, and after the pump. Why it is required? Because you cannot start the pump without the complete clearance of the line. So first we are starting this valve, then this valve, and then pump will transfer the material. What if you start everything? What if this valve is closed and you start the pump? That will create a pressure into this line and it will damage your pump or it can damage your valve also. So gradually this process is now in operation. Gradually the material is being transferred from this tank to this tank. Here you can see the actual liter, actual temperature of the tank, uh, what is the actual flow, and whether the flow is being running or not into the system. So, and you can also stop the material. You can also stop the pump. You can also stop the sequence by pressing the stop push button that is available at your physical input and output. So if you see the cycle how it is written, let's say if the start signal is there, the cycle is running. If you stop the signal, the process will stop. This is basically a PLC logic diagram where you can use your input and output to make the program running. So let us see why how PLC system can improve this process. This can also be done without the help of PLC. You can use standard relay logic or standard temperature or level controller to operate this plant. But what are the benefits of using PLC? The first point that we took care about the safety. The safety means the safety of the pump, the safety of the valves. You can write interlock like the level is not there, you cannot start the sequence. So if the level is low, the the cycle will stop immediately because there is no level into the system. It is starting and then stopping because there is no level into the system. So that protection you can provide into the system. If there is high level into the system, then also it will not start. Then also it will not allow to transfer the pump. If there is low level into the transmitter or high level into the this destination tank, then also it will not allow to operate the pump. But again, what further enhancement you can do with the help of PLC is now with the same hardware configuration, means with the same wiring, with the same plant, you can add one more feature like the sequence is running. Let's say first it will open this valve, and the pump will start transferring the data from this tank to this tank. Now, if let's say there is some problem, so if there is no PLC system, you have to stop the sequence to resolve the issue. But now, if you are just holding the system, so what it will do, it will stop the pump. So now the material is not being transferred, you are just stopping the pump. So the material is held up to here and up to here. So you can resolve your issue and you can now resume your process. So how this will benefit to your system, like for some intermediate problems, you can hold the sequence, you can resume the sequence, so the entire process do not disturb with the help of small issues. Another flexibility you can provide is you can make it on time base. If you want to transfer if you want to transfer the material for some particular time, then also you can provide with the help of same setup signal. Let's say you want to run this system for around 15 seconds. So you start the sequence, and when the transfer is running, it will check the actual time for how much time you want to transfer the signal. You want to run the process. So after 15 seconds, it will stop automatically. So these are the add-on features uh, that you can provide that we can provide to the existing system. Not only for the time base, you can also provide how much volume you want to transfer. So you want to transfer 100 liters, and you start the sequence. So after 100 liters, the process will stop automatically. For this, you do not need to add any extra input or any extra output in this case. You are just adding the flexibility to the existing system into the process. Again, you can also show the operator what is happening inside the plant. So if you start the sequence, it will show you it is opening the V1 valve, it is opening the V2 valve, it is opening the pump, and now the transfer is running from this PLC to this PLC. So without adding any extra input or output, that much flexibility we can provide into the system that will enable operator or enable the user to understand what is running. Also, when you stop the sequence, it will show you the stopping V1, then stopping pump, and then stopping the valve. So these are the flexibilities that is available into the system by using PLC. Also, you can calculate how much material is being transferred. You can also show the total production, that how much material is being transferred during the operation. So PLC gives you a various options. PLC gives you various parameters to improve the system with your existing setup. There are many other wonderful things you can also add to the system. You can provide where exactly the fault is. What happens if the pump is not running? You can stop the signal. You can hold the sequence based on the requirements. So my purpose of telling you how PLC can be used to operate the plant, operate the plant very user friendly. And by using this kind of systems, uh, any low skill labor can also run this plant trouble free. While whenever we are designing any project, our main objective is to who is the operator. Like we are designing our system based on the operator. What is the skill level of the operator? Anybody should capable of operating this plant. So our main objective is to make it user friendly, to make it more reliable, to make it more safe, so that even any operator want to purposefully trouble the plant, he will not be allowed. So this is our this that was our prime motive. The plant and the machine should run safely, even and it should run trouble free. So uh, let's say how the cycle is written into the logic. So first of all, we are checking all the interlocks. If there any alarm that the destination tank is full, if the source tank is empty, if the pump trip or pump run feedback, then it will give you one signal that the plant is ready to run. Then when we start the signal and the sequence is not completed or not aborted, the cycle can start. we are taking two positive trigger and negative trigger. Positive trigger and negative triggers are used to identify the starting and stopping of any particular state. And then this is just a simple step cycle, means it is going once, it is proceeding one by one. So when you are starting the signal, it will go to step one, then it will go to, when the first step is completed, it will go to step two. Then after third step, fourth step, this is how the logic is flowing. And this is how we are checking whether first step is completed. So when the step one is running, what we are checking, the wall is open or not. So when the first step is running and the wall open, feedback we are receiving, then the first step is completed. And when the first step is completed, it will go to next step. It can, in next step, we are opening the second wall. And when the second wall is open, we are starting the pump. And when the pump and two valves are running, we are waiting for completing the transfer. And this transfer complete can be by, you can stop the signal to complete the transfer, or is there any high level into the tank, the transfer will stop. The high level into the tank, transfer will stop. If it is time based, on the end of the time the cycle will complete. If it is volume based, when the volume transfer is complete, or it can also be on the analog signal, like level is less than zero, then also the signal transfer will stop. So this is the basic structure of the block. Means once you have the input necessary to run the plant, then you have connected the output to control the plant, then everything is inside the logic. And with the same setup, you can provide multiple options to make the plant very easy for the operator. You can also operate the individual operate. You can also operate the individual components with the help of manual operation to operate the plant. So that was a small introduction about that PLC logic, how you can simplify the logic, how you can use it based on your requirement. Just consider if it is connected without PLC, what is the skill level that is required to operate the plant, and how much changes you have to make to even improve the system by a small bit. So, what is the scope of automation into the industry? According to the market research, the automation and factory automation market is gradually increasing and it will keep improving in the future years. There are many companies in the industrial automation and factory automation market. There are automation giants that we see: Siemens, Rockwell, ABB, Delta, Schneider. It can be system integrators or solution providers. That can be robotics industries. That can be OEM or special purpose machine manufacturers. It can be manufacturing plants or process plant. It can be service industries, R&D and innovation centers, IT solution providers, IoT integration providers, or it can, if you want to start your own business, then also the automation is required. Where the automation engineers can be involved. It is not necessary, it can be only into the project business. It starts from the inquiry, tendering, or need generation. There are also back office marketing engineers, sales engineers who design the automation system. That are pre-sale, back office management support, system selection, system design, project engineer, project testing, site engineering. So these are the areas where in any industries automation know-how is important. So what is next after industrial automation? You all of have heard the data plus, and you all of have heard the Internet of Things. So what exactly Internet of Things is? Why we need Internet of Things? So currently everything is being produced at good quality, at a good production rate. We have safe and better environment. But why we need to go for the fourth industrial revolution? So the problem of the current industry is the communication, verbal communication, written communication. The major problem into the industrial market is communication. Another problem is reducing the waste. Another problem is to optimize the best resources for our industries. So to resolve all kind of this problem, Internet of Thing is required. What simply what Internet of Thing is, it collect the data, it analyze those data, and it give you result. So by adding the Internet of Thing into that existing market, you can identify whether motor is healthy or not, whether motor is electrically okay or mechanically okay, whether whether motor has electrical problem or mechanical problem based on reading the motor data. Like you can measure the motor voltage, motor winding resistance, motor current. You can continuously reading those data, and based on that data, you can achieve this result with the help of big data analysis and other web tools that are available. Even into the mechanical problem, what is the exact cause of the problem? That can be bearing, is the fault of bearing or is the fault of wiring. Even you can identify whether your your component are getting degraded. Means it was running at 100% accuracy, now it is 100% efficiency, now it is decreasing, it has come up to a 90%, 80%. Those you can identify it with the help of Internet of Things. You can also find the best performance parameters, like what is the best performance parameters for tank 1, what are the best performance parameter for tank 2, what is the best optimum temperature to achieve your desired output. You can, at what time you should replace the maintenance material. This data can be achieved by Internet of Things. If you are using two material, then you can also identify which material is better, material A or material B, based on the result analysis. You can also identify, as I said, the best production parameters, like how it can improve. Like if you are running the plant at 90 degrees centigrade, but based on the data, you can identify that this can be achieved. Same result can be achieved with the help of 80 degrees centigrade also. So it will save your energy by 90 degree to 80 degree. And the pump speed, at this particular pump speed, you are achieving your result. So this will help us in identifying the best and optimum optimum process parameters. You can also identify which are the best operators or which are the best personnel. If this operator is operating the plant, the results are better. So you can optimize your system with the help of Internet of Things. Internet of Things has very vast vision. It is not only remote data monitoring or remote data collection, but it is connecting the machine to machine. Like if the raw material is empty, and it will check into your storage system, it will automatically generate the purchase requirement for the new. So it is for the management layer, or planning and management layer. So we are using industrial automation in every segment of the industrial architecture layer, from the field to the PLC to the SCADA to the MIS to the management level. So machines are learning. So there are basically four industrial revolution. The first revolution was mechanical revolution, when we started manufacturing something. Then we introduced the electricity. The prime focus of the second revolution was uh, to produce in mass assembly lines. Means here we are only producing now. Then we convert to the mass production. Then we convert into the PLC and IT technology and electronics technology to integrate into the automation, into the industrial segment. So now the focus of the third revolution was to provide safe environment, to provide quality production to provide flexibility. And now the goal of the industry 4.0 is to machine connectivities and optimize the resources. Optimization is the major criteria of digital revolution. How we can reduce the resource consumption, and how we can reduce the cycle time to produce the same result with the lower consumption. So that is that is all from that webinar segment. Uh, I will tell you a bit about our industry, our company. We deal into the industrial automation since decades, and we also have a training setup where we provide complete training on fundamental, then logic, HMI, VFD, industrial communication, electrical panel, and projects. We provide professional training. Our methods are very innovative. We provide training on the actual site projects. We covered all the segments like electrical, mechanical, instrumentation, mechatronic sector, and all the dimensions we covered. We covered with the latest trends, good environment, and we have 100% commitment to deliver our quality. The vision of our industry is to be a leading solution provider by innovating and globally accepted solution approach. Uh, we want to be world-class quality solution provider into the industrial segment, and our core values are commitment, innovation, quality, optimization, integrity, learning, and passion. We provide trading, we provide complete industrial automation solution, IT integration like plant reporting, MIS system, IoT integration, site services, sales of instrument, PLC, HMI, SCADA. We are into various industrial segments: textile, pharma, water and wastewater management, glass, process industries, tire industries, packaging, foundry, dairy, and many other industries. We have project commissioning experience worldwide. So if you have any queries, you are free to ask. Hello.
Sir, actually, yes, sir. One question is there from regarding that automation side.
Hmm.
That basically that industrial automation will be targeting that that food industry or that industry which will be related with packing and all that. Now, if the same kind of automation, if we can apply for the complete manufacturing site,
Hmm.
so in that case, which are trend which we can observe for implementation of it, and how we can tackle that?
Actually, automation is applied in all segments of the industrial segment, not only into the industrial segment, but into the home automation, into the machine automation, into the process automation. Like if you have heard the term about robotics process automation, that are dealing with the desktop job. Into the manufacturing sectors also, in the assembly lines, everybody has automation and robotics into their plants. So automation is used in everywhere. It is being used, and it will be keep using automation. So into the manufacturing sectors also, automation is already installed, like into the tire industries, into the automobile, into the bearing industries, packaging, everywhere. So I am not able to understand the what exactly you are asking. Whether you are asking it can be used in manufacturing sectors, or can you please clarify your question? Or I hope I have given your answer.
Yes, sir. Definitely, it is used in manufacturing industry as you told. But the basic constraint the problem which we can face in manufacturing industry with conventional machine and all that.
Okay.
So that kind of problem we are facing during manufacturing cycle compared to that packing industry and that normal that that milk industry and all that. If you can take a specific case, then.
Okay. So in all kind of industries, the major constraint or the major problem is understanding the problem. So what automation is not selling the products, or automation is not selling the PLC, not selling the instrument. Even you can provide automation without using PLC also. The basic purpose of the automation is solving the problem, but how you are understanding that problem and how best way you can solve it. Like we had one panel manufacturing customer which was using he was manufacturing the panels. The the problem he was getting is it is from operator side. The operator did not give all the commands properly at a time. So how we overcome that? We put some simple sensor mechanism so that the operator can only give signal at particular time. So it is not that we are using complex system every time. It can also be handled with a simple solution, and that is how we observe. Observation is the key into the industry. How you observe and how you are approaching towards the solution is the key to any kind of industrial segment, not only into manufacturing but also into the process.
So, sir, yes, sir. So, most that particular question's answer will be very much clear, sir. And in that particular, that normal small scale industry,
Hmm?
sir, for that particular small scale industry, for that providing a affordable solution, for
Yes.
for, for providing a cost effective affordable solution for small scale industry, how that that different agencies are approaching for providing a cost oriented optimum solution to them,
Actually, cost has becoming
because
a
small scale industries have that kind of constraint regarding costing and all that.
yes.
So
Actually, the cost has becoming a very primary factor into the industries now. And in every industrial leaders like Siemens or ABB, Delta, they all have come towards the small scale or the micro PLCs that you can use. So it can be make your system possible with compared to the conventional relay or conventional electrical solution. You can use PLC and still you can find a better product. So all the major industry leaders have cost effective products. Like in the Siemens there are two segments that one is very small to micro scale industries. So PLC has variety of products available, starting from very low price that you can have the PLC around 3,000, to the very high plant like process plant where we are using redundant PLC. So PLC, so the automation market, not only PLC, we have variable frequency drive sensors, HMI, all have that kind of cost effective product that can be utilized for the very micro level industries. So they can utilize and then they can convert to the industry 3.0. So all the segments has that cost effective products.
thank you very much, Pete, sir, for your guidance and the
Thank
knowledge
you, sir.
which you share, and the conceptual explanation regarding how that industrial automation can be used in different industry sectors, and how using PLC we can move on for that industrial automation. So I am very much thankful on behalf of Parul University, sir, that you have accepted our invitation, and you have given that complete thorough knowledge to us regarding that application oriented as well as conceptual point to point for industrial automation and how we can implement that thing. So I am very much means thankful to you, sir, for your knowledge sharing and all that, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you, sir.
I would also request to give some feedback based on our whether you like it, not like it, or what else content you want to see, or it could have been better. We are interested in continuous learning and improvement approach. So it will be great if you can provide us better a good feedback. It is available on our website akarsolution.in/feedback. So thank you for providing your valuable time and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
presentation slot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Hello.